Alright. Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to McKelvey's Daily Bible. We do gotta apologize that we weren't on yesterday. Little Colin had a major rash going on, and it was to the point where we had to take him to the doctors. They didn't know exactly what was going on with him, but they gave him some Benadryl, and so far he's getting better. All right, you little buddy. All right, Connor, I can't see your face. There we go. Trying to get you guys set up here.
Too high or too low, or to the side?
No, I need. Let's see. I need you guys to scoot back that way, just a little bit here. No, you some more. Not you. You stay. You scoot over just a little bit. There you go. Just like that. There we go. Alright, now, since we didn't do any of our readings yesterday, we're going to go ahead and do 2 of them today, but the reason we can do 2 of them today is because these chapters we're doing are not very long. We are going to do chapters 4 through 11 today, except for chapter 5. Chapter 5 deals with the family tree of Adam, and you guys can, if you guys want to follow along with the family tree and how long they lived and all, you can find that in Genesis chapter 5. Until then, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to save questions for at the end, okay? So, now, where we left off was Paradise Lost, God's judgment. And judged him pretty fair, you think? I mean, God gave them everything, and they decided not to trust in him, and he took it away, Bright shiny toy, and you're not listening, got to take that away. But this time it's not like you guys, where it's just, oh, you got taken away for a day or a week. But no, this is forever for them. It's sad. Now, because of that, now they have to go out on their own. They have to fend for themselves. God is no longer taking care of them in the way that he was. So now, like God said to Adam, because of this, I want to curse the ground, and you're gonna have to fend for yourself and toil to the ground, get for your own food and all this stuff. Well, because time passes and all, now we've got to, they're going to procreate. So now with Adam having sexual relations with his wife, this is chapter 4, by the way, with his wife Eve, she became pregnant. And when she gave birth to Cain, she said, "With the Lord's help, I have produced a man." Later, she gave birth to his brother named Abel. When they grew up, Abel became a shepherd, while Cain cultivated the ground. When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best of the firstborn lamb of his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he did not accept Cain and his gift. This made Cain very angry, and he looked dejected. And do you know why God didn't like it? Why?
Because, doesn't he need a sacrifice from an actual animal?
Exactly. The whole point is sacrifice, and he did not sacrifice what he needed to sacrifice and do it right, just the way God said. "Why are you so angry?" the Lord asked Cain. "Why do you look so dejected? Will you be accepted if you do what is right? But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you. But you must subdue it and be its master." One day, Cain suggested to his brother, "Let's go out into the fields." And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother, Abel, and killed him. Afterwards, the Lord asked Cain, "Where is your brother?" "Where is Abel?" "I don't know," Cain responded. "Am I my brother's guardian?" But the Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed and banished from the ground, which has swallowed your brother's blood. No longer will the ground yield good crops for you, no matter how hard you work. From now on, you will be a homeless wanderer on the earth." Cain replied to the Lord, My punishment is too great for me to bear. You have banished me from the land and from your presence. You have made me a homeless wanderer. Anyone who finds me will kill me." The Lord replied, "No. I will give a sevenfold punishment to anyone who kills you." And then the Lord put a mark on Cain to warn anyone who might try to kill him. So Cain left the Lord's presence and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain had sexual relations with his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Then Cain founded a city which he named Enoch after his son. Enoch had a son named Arad, and Arad became the father of Mahuel, and Mahuel became the father of Methuselah. Sorry, I'm so bad with these names. You got to forgive me on that. And then Methuselah became the father of Lamech. Lamech married two women. The first named Adah, A-D-A-H, and the second was Zillah. Okay, now Adiah gave birth to Jabal, who was the first of those who raised livestock and live in tents. His brother's name was Jabal, or Jabal. Jabal. I'm going to scoot this over a little bit here. There we go. Okay, his brother's name was Jabal, the first of all who played the harp and flute. Lamech's other wife, Zillah, gave birth to a son named Tubal-Cain. He became an expert in forging tools of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain had a sister named Naamah. Naamah? It has two A's right next to each other. One day Lamech said to his wives, okay, so now Lamech says to his wives, Adiah, Zillah, hear my voice. Listen to me, you wives of Lamech. I have killed a man who attacked me, a young man who wounded me. If someone who kills Cain is punished 7 times, then the one who kills me will be punished 70 times 7. Adam had sexual relations with his wife again, and he gave birth to another son. She named him Seth. For she said, God has granted me another son in place whom Cain killed. When Seth grew up, he had a son, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people first began to worship the Lord by name. That's the end of 4. We're going to skip on to 5. Again, this deals with, chapter 5 is the family tree of Adam. So on to chapter 6. Then the people began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that the beautiful women, and they took them and they wanted them as wives. Now, mind you, this is about the time when, okay, so you have the third of the angels are kicked out of heaven. Remember that story? Okay, which it will say it later on. Now, when they are kicked out, they are the sons of God. Okay? They, those fallen angels, saw that the women on earth God has created are beautiful. Okay? And they wanted them and took them, many of them, as wives. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not put up with humans for such a long time, for they are only mortal flesh. Now, mind you, this is about the time that I believe, personally, that, so, well, let me finish this real quick. For a long time, for their mortal flesh. In the future, their normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years. In those days, and for some time, giant Nephilites lived on the earth. For whenever the sons of God had intercourse with women, they gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. So this is the time when you had Zeus and all the Greek gods, all the other so-called like demigods, all this stuff. Okay, because obviously we know that the fallen angels are celestial beings. Okay, so obviously celestial beings are going to have powers that we do not as humans. So you mix that with the humans, the human women, okay, and those children grow up to be giants. They become the most powerful beings on Earth, and they take over Earth for a long time, okay? And that's when the lower beings, the humans, sees them giants as gods. And of course at that time, they don't see God physically. They only see these giants who has powers and all that, so they deem them as gods. But then, here's where God's going to take care of that. So, of ancient times, the Lord observed the extent of the human wickedness on earth, and he saw that everything they thought or imagined was constantly and total evil. So the Lord was sorry he ever made them and put them on earth. It broke God's heart. And the Lord said, I will wipe this human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, I will destroy every living thing, all the people, the large animals, the small animals that scurry along the ground, even the birds in the sky. I am sorry I ever made them. But Noah found favor with the Lord. And this is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on earth at the time. And he walked in close relationship with God. Noah was the father of 3 sons. I can't see you, Connor and Colin.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. Okay. Noah was the father of 3 sons: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay. Now, God saw that the earth had become corrupted and was filled with violence. God observed all this corruption in the world, for everyone on earth was corrupt. I can't see you, Colin. Can you scoot over? There we go. So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them all out along with the earth. Build a large boat from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. Make the boat 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, 45 feet high. Leave an 18-inch opening below the roof all the way around the boat. Put the door on the side and build 3 decks inside the boat, lower, middle, and upper. Look, I am about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on earth will die, but I will confirm my covenant with you. So into the boat, you and your wife, and your sons and their wives. Bring a pair of every kind of animal, a male and a female, into the boat with you to keep them alive during the flood. Pairs of every kind of bird and every kind of animal and every kind of small animal that scurries along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. And be sure to take on board enough food for your family and all the animals. So Noah did exactly as God has commanded him. In chapter 7. When the Lord was ready, which, by the way, this time, it took him about 100 years. Okay? And also, I could have sworn somewhere in here that it talked about how God always takes the lowest and the meek, the people you wouldn't think, you know, and build them up. You know, like later on, David and Goliath. And I don't know, because we haven't gotten that far, and I don't know if it's later on, but I could have swore somebody mentioned that Noah was a drunk. Everybody had a problem. But then when they got to God, they changed. Okay? So every time, like, it doesn't matter how bad your problems are, as soon as you get to God, He's always there for you and to help you get through your problems. Okay? So now God, I mean, this guy God favors him because he walked with God, you know, out of the whole entire world. Imagine if he wasn't there, what would happen to us? If there was not one person that God had favor in, we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Noah. Now, when everything When everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the boat with all your family, for among all the people on the earth I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female, of every animal I have approved for eating and for sacrifice, and take 1 pair of each of the others. Also, take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and a female in each pair to ensure that all life will survive on earth after the flood. 7 days from now, I will make the rains pour down on earth, and it will rain for 40 days and 40 nights, until I have wiped out from all the earth all the living things I have created." So Noah did everything as the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood, he and his wife and his sons and their wives. With them were all the various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not, along with all the birds and all the small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. After 7 days, the waters of the floods came and covered the earth. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth, and the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky. The rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. That every day Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, and with them both every pair of animals, domestic and wild, large and small, along with the birds of every kind. 2 by 2 they came and entered the boat, representing every living thing that breathes. A male and a female of each kind just entered, just as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. For 40 days the flood waters grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the waters covered the earth. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountain on earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peak. So we know what? Mount Everest is the highest mountain, right? So 22 feet higher than Mount Everest. Okay? All the living things on earth died. Birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurried along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on earth. People, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, the birds of the skies. All were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those with him in the boat. And the flood waters covered the earth for 150 days. Chapter 8. Let's see, we're doing up to 11. I think it's up to 8 was yesterday, and then 9, 10, 11 for today. So, but God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and livestock with them in the boat. He sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the flood waters began to recede. The underground waters stopped flowing, and the torrential rains from the skies were stopped. So the flood waters gradually receded from the earth. After 150 days, exactly 5 months from the time the flood began, the boat came to a rest on the mountains of Ararat. 2.5 months later, as the waters continued to go down, other mountain peaks became visible. After another 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the boat and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the flood waters on the earth had dried up. He also released a dove to see if the waters had receded and it could find dry ground. But the dove could not find a place to land because the water was still covering the ground. So it returned to the boat, and Noah held out his hand and drew the dove back inside. After waiting another 7 days, Noah released the dove again. This time the dove returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Then Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. He waited another 7 days and then released the dove again. This time it did not come back. Noah was now 601 years old. On the first day of the new year, 10.5 months after the flood began, the floodwaters had almost dried up from the earth. Noah lifted back the covering of the boat and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. 2 more months went by, and at last the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wives and your son and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds and the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wives, his sons and their wives left the boat, and all the large and small animals, the birds, came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed a burnt offering, the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice, and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent towards evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planted and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." Chapter 9. This is today's reading. Then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth. All the animals of the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. I have given them to you for food, just as I have given you grains and vegetables. But you must never eat any meat that still has the lifeblood in it," which is why you're supposed to cook all your meat through. You shouldn't be eating blood, okay?
Ew.
Exactly. God considers blood, it's the life. The life is in the blood.
Ew.
So make sure you cook your meat all the way through. And there's a lot of people that likes raw meat or medium rare and all that stuff. That's their choice, but God considers blood as the life, okay? "And I will require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. If a wild animal kills a person, it must die. And anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person's life will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in his own image. Now, be fruitful and multiply, and repopulate the earth." Then God said to Noah and his sons, "I hereby confirm my covenant with you and your descendants, and with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds and livestock and all the wild animals and all the living creatures on earth. Yes, I am confirming my covenant with you. Never again will flood waters kill all living creatures. Never again will a flood destroy the earth." Then God said, "I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you and with all living creatures for all generations to come. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is a sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. For when I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth." And God said to Noah, "Yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on earth." The sons of Noah who came out of the boat with their father were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. From these three sons of Noah came all the people who now populate the earth. After the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground, and he planted a vineyard. One day he drank some wine he had made and became drunk and laid naked inside his tent. Okay, so yeah, I think this is the one that's kind of, inside of his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went outside and told his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe, held it over their shoulders, and backed into the tent to cover their father. As they did this, they looked the other way so they would not see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned what Ham, his youngest son, had done. Then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. "May Canaan be cursed, may he be the lowest of the servants to his relatives." Then Noah said, "May the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed, and may Canaan be a servant. May God expand the territory of Japheth. May Japheth share the prosperity of Shem, and make Canaan and be his servant. Now, I don't understand why or what happened. I mean, the two brothers were covering his dad, and so I don't have all the answers for you. I could just do what I know. Noah lived another 350 years after the great flood. He lived to be 950 years, and then he died. In chapter 10. This is the account of the families of Shem. So I think chapter 10 is also another family tree. And there's a lot of names that I am not going to dare butcher. But it is, again, family tree. So conclusion on chapter 10, which it even says conclusion. These are the clans after all this whole, I mean, it's like, I think it's like 31 verses. That's like the whole family tree. So then after these clans that descended from Noah's sons are arranged by nation according to their lines of descendant, all the nations of the earth descended from those clans after the great flood. In chapter 11. At one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. And they began saying to each other, "Let's make bricks and harden them with fire." In this region, bricks were used instead of stone, and tar was used for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build a great city for ourselves, with a tower that reaches to the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world." So they're kind of selfish, don't you think? All about them, not God. Want to be high up. Okay. But the Lord came down to look at the city and the tower that the people were building. "Look," he said, "the people are united and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other." Colin, can you please stop? Thank you. Understand each other. In that way, the Lord scattered them all over the world, and they stopped building the city. That is why the city is called Babel, because that is where the Lord confused the people with different languages. In this way, he scattered them all over the world. And then this is the account of Shem's family, which is another family tree. It talks about this person had this kid had that kid, how many years they lived. I'm not going to butcher their names. And then I think this one is important because it deals with your, yeah, okay, so yeah, the whole thing is the family tree. And it talks about how they lived and how long they lived and whatnot. And again, I'm not going to butcher all these names. Just like when we get to the beginning of Matthew, and it has the family tree of Jesus, well, Joseph, leading up to Jesus. I'm going to skip that part too, but I'm not butchering these names. So that is right now the end of our reading for today.
I have 2 questions.
What's that?
Okay, so my first question is, whenever you said it's starting with the flood and how his sons start to multiply, does that mean technically we're all brothers and sisters and we're just marrying our brothers or sisters?
No, honey, no. It's kind of like you have a big big thing of water, right? And that comes from them. You drop a little piece of salt in there. Is that salt salting up the whole bathtub? No, it's diluted. Throughout generations, the DNA and everything has become diluted. Okay? So, no, we are not brothers and sisters or cousins. It's been, the gene pool is just completely diluted that it's not. What?
Well, but in God's eyes, are we brothers and sisters?
Yes, we are children of God. That's where it comes into. What was your question, Connor?
Oh, she said she had another question.
My second question was,
Hey Google, cancel timer. Cancel timer. Sorry, guys. What, Carly?
My second question was, whenever they're talking about like, excuse me, sorry. Whenever they were talking about like the selfish people building the big tower, and how they got spread out with different languages around the world, wasn't there one thing where there was these people from that speak different languages, but they knew exactly what they were all saying?
Huh?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's later on, Carly.
What was your question?
About aging. You said God said earlier that didn't he say that the age limit was 130?
120 after the
120?
floods.
So
Yes.
So then, how did Noah live up to
After the
900?
flood. After the flood.
Oh.
So when the flood
I said it
when the
before.
flood happened, it caused the atmosphere to thin out. Okay, we had a very thick atmosphere that that blocked a lot of the sun's UV rays, all that stuff that causes that. That causes the aging process, or advanced aging, Then after that, that's when the atmosphere ended up thinning out, and then that's when God just put a limit to that. No, because the people, they were living up to 900 years, and that's a lot of time to be on Earth for one. I honestly, personally, do not want to be on Earth that long. Okay, in our Earth, I can understand, being forever with God on the new Earth, yes, but there's a lot of stuff, because the world was corrupted anyways, especially with all these people living a long time, especially when we had the Nephilites, okay? So that's when God's just like, no, we're just going to cut the lifespan and go from there. Yes?
When's the New Testament?
Not for a while, buddy. Do you have anything? Alright, guys.
Then I could get my book.
Alright. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, as long as everything goes great. Good night.